Now, of course, one of the things we've seen talking about content, and we all know about static posters. There's a challenge to take a static poster into this new realm. So how can we go about that? You mentioned some of the things there about graphic design and School of Art and whatever, but is there a set of rules to take the static poster into this new age?
I think one of the biggest challenges at the moment is for the marketing departments to recognise it isn't just a quick add-on to whoever creates point of sale. It actually needs some resource behind it to plan some kind of content strategy, not just for a launch, but for ongoing as well, to manage the content that they want to put up on the screens, to change it with the speed that they can change it with. That's slowly shifting, but I think in the past it's been very much, okay, yeah, we'll just give it to this person who's already doing a bit of point of sale, maybe doing a bit of online, they've got the content, we'll just give that to the creative agency.
Do you see people changing things? I mean, we could day part with content, but do you see people really making the most of the
I think the first consideration is maybe you need to tear up the rule book, because the rule book that worked for static posters may not be the same rule book that you need for digital out of home.
Okay.
So, and whenever you have change, whatever business you're in, sometimes it's tough because you've got to have some lateral thinking. You've got to change some of your existing work practices. So, I think what we're seeing is still a situation where if we just replace a poster with a digital image, we're certainly not making the most out of the media and the possibility. And at the end of the day, it's not about the technology, it's about the content, absolutely. And it's about the consumer, whoever is in front of that content, and depending on whether you want any interactivity. So, the concept of having to book campaigns in 2-week intervals, because that's when you're going to change the posters, you're going to do a revamp, has gone away. But I don't think everybody's grasped that yet. So, the first thing is we need to think about what are the new rules of the game, what are the opportunities that are there, and then there is going to be quite a, there is going to be a process of change, and there is going to be a process of education to allow us to fully embrace and get a good return on the opportunity that digital out of home gives us. So think about what the new rules of the game are, and obviously the dynamic advertising, whether it's interactivity or whether it's day parting, are certainly the first very tangible things that you can look at.
Right. Okay.
I think one of the challenges of moving from static to dynamic signs is just the tools. I mean, posters for 150 years have been a 3:2 aspect ratio. With digital, it's 16:9 or 16:10 portrait or landscape. But those are pretty boring. And how do what tools are available to design signs of arbitrary shape, of different shapes, zigzags, angles, whatever? What are the tools available to create signs that are maybe even going to change not just the visual content, but the shape? We're finding in our company a large interest for digital out-of-home signs for events where the shape may only be there for 2 days, change and move around. I think the industry needs not just designers, but tools. We need people to rethink how they create content in completely different ways. So that you're right, the rule book has had to have been thrown out because of 16:9, 3:2 just aren't interesting anymore.
Okay. So it's interesting that you've both said that people need to tear up the rule book in terms of moving forward. One of the things that Mood have been doing for a long time is music. We'll talk about audio and things, but it's more experiential, and you've been playing with smells and scents in stores. And
I think very much about it's creating this unique shopping environment, making sure that it all dovetails, meets the brand, gets the messages out there to the retailers. Audio is very important. We've commissioned with YouGov just recently a piece of research, went out to just over 2,000 people, and results came back that 2/3 said yes, they would actually stay in a store for longer if their atmosphere was right. And it's things like that that's what we work towards, and digital signage I think plays a vital element in that. You mentioned targeting earlier. It is that new mindset of people recognising that you can sell umbrellas in Scotland whilst you can sell suntan lotion in Brighton if you want to. You know, British weather is like that. You can do that and make these changes. But yeah, the scent, the smell of the store, the audio, the visual, it all creates this, you know, enhanced shopping environment, ultimately to keep them in store for longer. And
right. And you've been working with a number of universities, Bob, on things like this, haven't you, in terms of how people react to shape and sound and
we've been
music and art.
Shape, sound, even brightness. I mean, we've commissioned and had results for at human factors facilities at different universities to say how bright a sign should be. You can be too bright, you can be too dim, you can have contrast is important. Shape, sound, and so forth. In fact, we're seeing a lot of take-up of panel displays for live arts as well, not digital out of home as you and I would think of it, but performing arts as well. So, and of course you can always get subtle messages across in the background.
And of course performing arts is very much like some of the retail theatre that you put together.
Yeah.
We've seen good examples of retail theatre, I think, Ian, across Europe really these days.
Well, I think, I mean, I completely agree about the experience. How are you going to get people off their computer, off the internet, shopping online, and want to come in to experience, you know, the store? So, you know, there is a theatre about it, isn't there? But I think that one of the parts of it is impact. I mean, you know, depending on where you are and the environment, obviously the dwell time, the impact. And impact comes in many shapes and sizes, perhaps, because it is, you know, we're very much within Harris about making sure that you get very high quality content in terms of creating, you know, having tools to be able to display high quality content, because I think that impact is important. Yep. That's one element. Another may be, you know, the size and the shape. I mean, we are seeing more interest in video wall technologies now, perhaps to get, you know, a higher impact in certain areas of a store, and also looking at what is going on within the content, you know, to engage rather than just a single frame. You know, there may be a number of multiple things, you know, to get the engagement. And again, shape. And I was listening to there was a radio program recently about fonts. There was a book recently written about fonts, and it's very intriguing actually just listening about it, because actually depending on the font that something's written in, a company logo or message, will trigger different emotions. And it's the same with a colour, you know, orange. You know, we've got things that are very easily identifiable with certain companies with colour. So I think it's all part of that mix where that impression you see, whatever it may be, you know, sound, shape, quality, basic quality, it all
Smell.
impacts, you know, that.
Smell.
It all impacts that impression, and then, you know, where do you go with that in terms of, you know, have you got the engagement, and then, you know, does the message go across?